gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's April 24th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And the news of the day can't really involve anything but the transfer portal as the beat goes on in Miami's pursuit to add some talent to this roster. And I wrote a column yesterday, trying to give you guys a little insight into the whole process taking place behind the scenes. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I thought, Matt, where we would start today is by referring to our transfer portal tracker, which is on the website, and giving everybody a really good update on the transfer portal process and where everything's looking right now as Miami inches forward towards getting some official visits from these guys this weekend, going into next week. And so obviously quarterback, they already got their quarterback in the transfer portal. They're not searching for another quarterback, but everything stays status quo at running back. And you remember I told you guys it's probably almost 2 weeks ago now, that you could book that Damian Martinez, the Oregon State running back, would end up being a Miami Hurricane. And obviously I had some sources there that gave me a pretty good indication that he was very seriously interested in Miami, even before he went in the portal and had any conversations at all with anybody from Miami. And it has played out exactly as some sources told me that it would. And he's visiting this weekend, and I'm expecting that visit to end with a commitment from Damian Martinez. And Matt, I'm going to stop right there. I mean, we've talked about him before, but I mean, people are calling this kid the number one recruit in the transfer portal. And I have not seen anything that leads me to dispute that. I absolutely love his tape. I think he is the perfect fit for this Miami offense at the running back position. And it's encouraging because I know how you feel, and we're not going to revisit the whole topic. I don't want you getting off on a 15-minute tangent here about free agents and all that. But I think you would agree that this kid is, you call him a free agent, whatever you want to call him, this would be the type of impactful pickup that we both, in all fairness, are looking to see when Miami uses the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, I already said this last show. Of course, this is one of the guys you take. This is what the transfer portal is for. It's not for 15 guys, 10 of whom are just depth guys. This is exactly how you should use the portal. 100%. Damian Martinez.
Okay, so moving in the right direction there. That's a good thing. Now, wide receiver. Really, there haven't been, as far as we know, there have been 2 guys that have been on the radar for Miami, and one of them doesn't seem to really be gaining a lot of traction, and that one's Elijah Badger from Arizona State. Not really sure where he stands right now, and we haven't heard at this point in time, as we sit here on Wednesday morning, of great traction there. Now that could change. These are ongoing processes, but we do believe that there is significant traction with Houston's Sam Brown. And, Matt, you've looked into him a little bit, and I know we've talked about him a little bit, but I want to revisit Sam Brown here right now because I'm kind of a little bit in the middle on this. I'm not totally convinced that he is significantly better, than like Isaiah Horton, for example, Ray Joseph, I'm not convinced, JoJo Trader, that he is significantly better than these guys that are on the roster right now. But obviously the coaches feel they need another guy at that position. My guess is they wanted a number one receiver, a guy that unquestionably would immediately walk on campus and be in the rotation. From what you have seen of Sam Brown, Is he that dude?
Well, let's start at the beginning, which is Miami seems to have this hang up with only or mainly taking portal people that they know from previous coaching stops or somebody in the recruiting department has a connection. And you get sort of stuck now with Marshall guys and Houston guys because the connection at Marshall with Lance Guidry, the connection at Houston with Shannon Dawson, those are the two coordinators. You get some right. You get some right, correct. But do you want Marshall? Do you want Marshall's team at Miami? Do you want Houston's team at Miami? You know, this guy Sam Brown, he did fine there. 800 yards receiving, really decent. 6'2", 190 pounds, not very big or tall. 3-star recruit, never was off the charts athletically. Signed with West Virginia, transferred to Houston. Wasn't really playing much at West Virginia. And is he better than Isaiah Horton, who's got 2 inches and 10 pounds on him? I personally don't think so. So should you take him when you also have some really good young talent? JoJo Trader, Nikar, Chance Robinson coming in. You got to get the ball to Ray Joseph, I think, quite a bit. I don't get it, but you know, who am I to argue with the mighty Miami Hurricanes coaching staff? I'm just an underpaid reporter. I personally don't take him, but they're going to take him.
Here's what I'll throw in there in thinking about it as you're talking. He does have one thing that all those guys don't have. He's done it in college football games. Okay. Isaiah Horton, nice catch in the Texas A&M game last year.
I can find guys who made plays at Murfreesboro State. It doesn't make them great players, Gary.
Understood, but he has done it in college football games. Ray Joseph has not. JoJo Trader has not. Nikar has not. Robbie Washington has not. Those guys have got to compete with Sam Brown if he comes in here and prove they are better on the field. And that is exactly what Mario Cristobal believes in. He believes in competition, in letting guys prove that they are better, actually better than other guys. And if it works out that they're better than the guy that comes in the portal, that's great. You know, this is funny as hell. Your phone, you're sitting, I don't know who you're texting at 5 a.m., but your phone is reflecting in your glasses.
Oh, that's great.
but no, I mean, listen, you know, Mario is all about competition on the practice field. And so obviously they feel Sam Brown can enhance that. And that's why they're bringing him in. But it is really an interesting dynamic of what's going on here. And I referred to my column earlier, and I'm just going to allude to it here again, because I wrote a lot about that and the new modern day college football, and how if you are a coach or a coaching staff and you are not every single day looking for ways to enhance your roster, you're falling behind in this world. Okay. Because this is a whole new ball game that we're seeing here. And it's not kind, it's not friendly, you know, it's not tiddlywinks. It's ruthless, it's cold, everything I called it. But it's necessary because you're paying guys to play football, and you know there's bidding wars going on in recruiting. Let's be honest, and you know, guys that don't come into school and do the right things on and off the field and don't perform at the level they were expected to perform at are tying up a lot of salary cap, you know, to use an NFL term. So there's so many different elements that are going into what we are seeing play out here. And it's just I find it fascinating. I really do. And that's why we're covering it from all different angles for you guys and trying to give you sort of like a lens into what's, what the thinking is behind the scenes, what's going on, not just at Miami, but really every school in the country, really, where coaches are going through this. So we are expecting Sam Brown to follow through and visit this weekend. And we believe that Sam Brown will also become a transfer portal addition to this Miami roster. And we'll see how that goes. So right now, when Miami went into the portal, we did not expect them to land an offensive lineman. They were looking at USC's Jason Sandamela, but we don't see that there's a lot of traction there. And we're not expecting that one to happen right now. Miami's not looking for a tight end on offense. right now either. They don't need that in the portal, so there's nothing going on there. Now, the position that I believe they need the most help, and where there's some of the more interesting action taking place, is on the defensive line. And Matt talked about these connections, and it helps to have them, man. There's a couple guys that are pretty good from Michigan State that are both in the portal, and Miami's right in the thick of those pursuits. And I got to believe there's a young kid that you've never even heard of that works in the back office at Miami. His name's Andrew Rogers, and he was at Michigan State last year before Mario Cristobal brought him here to Miami after noticing the good job he was doing identifying guys in the portal at Michigan State. He hired him, brought him here. But he knows everybody at Michigan State. He knows those kids, and I'm guessing that he had some juice. I might be falsely giving him credit here, but I'm guessing that he had some juice in Miami getting on the radar for Simeon Barrow and Derek Harmon. We are expecting a Barrow visit. It's looking like it's probably going to be early next week. I'm sure Miami would love to move it up to this weekend, but we don't know that that's going to happen right now. It's looking like an early next week visit at the moment. We expect Harmon to visit Miami too. The question with him is, will he come at the same time as Barrow, or will he come independently? Maybe there'll be some focus on that here as we go forward today. But Matt, two really good defensive linemen. I mean, Harmon, let me talk about Harmon for a minute. I mean, this kid's 6'5", 320 pounds. Okay. He started 10 games last year. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining, which is huge. And I know you love that. You don't like the 1 year loaner. You want the multi-year transfer. So that's going to make you happy on that front. 10 games, had 40 tackles, which led the team among defensive linemen, had 3.5 tackles for loss, a couple sacks, and 17 quarterback hurries, which is a nice stat. In 2022, as a redshirt freshman, he started 5 games, had 30 tackles as well, with a couple sacks and 15 quarterback pressures. So he does a decent job from the interior of the defensive line, putting pressure on the passer. He had a very impressive 78.4 grade with Pro Football Focus this past year. This is a kid that is growing into a stud. In my eyes, Matt, this is exactly, just like we talked about Martinez, this is exactly what Miami needs on the defensive side of the ball right now to make this team better. If they can land this kid, this is going to be a grand slam home run transfer portal session from Mario Cristobal and staff. I imagine that they are all in on Mr. Harmon.
Yeah, I mean, I like Harmon and Barrow. I do prefer 1 year portal guys just because it lets you start building and recruiting, not 2 year guys, 3 year guys, unless they're really free agents. Both these guys are borderline free agents to me. They're good. They're better than what Miami has. So in Gary's terms, that's a free agent. But the weird thing to me, Gary, is it's not to say you speak out both sides of your mouth, but let's face it, that you don't even know what I'm going to say yet. You're already shaking your head and freaking out.
I'm ready for it.
So an issue right now, not just at Miami, but in college football, but at Miami, is if a guy's getting too big an NIL deal and he's not being productive enough for that NIL deal, they tend to jettison him into the portal. Agree or disagree? Do you want me to repeat what I said? You were drinking.
No, I would agree that happens. I don't know if that's
correct. And Jaden Wayne, Jared Harrison Hunt certainly are better than some of the guys that are still on the roster. Like, there's no doubt about it. They are.
I don't know, man. Jaden Wayne was getting passed up very quickly. Harrison Hunt.
Jaden Wayne is not the worst defensive end on the team as a second-year player. Okay.
No.
And Jared Harrison Hunt
he was tying up a lot of cap space for where he was on the team.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And Jared Harrison Hunt has 27 starts. But yeah, you call it the cap space. Maybe it is cap space. I don't disagree with that at all. But here's why I say you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth, because this is the problem. If you're getting paid too much money in NIL and you're not being productive to that amount of money, which of course makes sense in the NFL, that's why you get rid of guys, right? Then fine, get rid of them. But at the same time, you're saying Miami has to add depth pieces in the portal if they don't have depth at that position, and da-da-da-da. When really, Jared Harrison-Hunt and Jaden Wayne maybe are better than some of the depth pieces. For example, not in this particular case, but in general, some of the guys that get jettisoned because of NIL, you're bringing guys who maybe aren't as competitive, as good, as experienced as some of the guys you get rid of. So you have to make a decision, Gary Ferman. Is this all about Miami constantly just getting better and more competition and keeping only the best players? Or is it also, hey, get rid of some better players that we need to replace because their NIL deal's too big? Like, you can't have both. You can't walk and chew gum. You can chew tobacco and rub your head, but you can't walk and chew gum in this issue. It's one or the other. You can't get rid of guys who are better than what's being left behind because they have big NIL deals. Make a decision. Are they trying to make the roster as good as possible regardless of the money? Or do they want to pick and choose and do it based on salary cap and get the best players for the money? Because those are two totally different things. You can't do both.
First of all, I hate tobacco. I don't chew that crap. I mean, it's just, I think it's totally disgusting. Okay, I do walk and chew gum on a regular daily basis.
It's very easy to walk and chew gum. That's why you keep using the wrong expression.
You got to be able to walk and chew gum. Okay, now
everybody can walk and chew gum. That's why it's so stupid. You keep saying that. Everyone can do that. There's nobody who can't do that.
Matt, I will sit here and I'll argue with you every minute for the next 5 weeks, okay, that Derek Harmon is a better football player than Jared Harrison.
Yeah, that's why I said it's not the perfect example of that position. But I'm saying in general, theoretically, you're getting rid of guys who maybe make the room better because Jared Harrison is not the worst defensive tackle on this roster. Okay, I can think of, is Ahmad Moten better than Jared this year? Probably not. You know,
they think so.
Jaden Wayne.
Ahmad Moten, it looks like.
Huh?
They obviously, the coaches think so. I think they're keeping Ahmad Moten.
Well, but that might have. But again, it might have to do with NIL. It might have to do with whatever. You know, maybe they don't like Jared's attitude work-wise. I understand that, but he's a better player on this team. He makes the team better than some of the guys who are still on the roster. And yeah, I get it. You know, it could be NIL money, whatever it is. But there's no doubt in my mind. There's guys at defense tackle on this roster who are not as good as the guy who was told to leave. You know, that's all I'm saying. And your whole argument of, you know, they have to just do whatever it takes to get better at every position with every player in the portal. Like, no, that's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing with their own roster. So, and I understand there's reasons why they do it, but I just want you to acknowledge that you're not correct, that everything they're doing is for the betterment of the roster. They're adding portal pieces that sometimes are just good attitude kids who work hard, that are just depth pieces. You know, they're adding portal guys that are here for 1 year that aren't really going to help sometimes.
Matt,
now there's 3 free agents
in the past
on our entire transfer portal tracker right now. There's 1 definite free agent, which is a running back. There's 2 borderline free agents which are the defensive tackles. And like, other than that, these are just like, to me, they're just depth guys. You know, they're guys who can compete to start with what's already at Miami, and then provide some depth, you know, and that, again, that's just not for me in the portal. Like, and I'm not going to go rehash everything and how I like it built through recruiting, but that's just my personal opinion. So,
well, there's a linebacker on the board, Jalen Alderman. You know, I don't disagree. You know, he's a depth filler. I don't disagree with you. Most likely a depth filler if he comes here. The cornerback that's on the board, Diani Hill from Marshall. He's a depth filler. I don't disagree with you. He gives them a little more help at cornerback. Whether he's better than what they have will be proven or disproven on the practice field. But no, I mean, you're not going to call that a free agent.
Listen, every 6 recruits Mario takes, 1 or 2 are free agents. Like, that's just been the pattern. You promised everybody that it's only going to be free agents. It's going to be unbelievable the second portal window, and it's been like, you know, one or two free agents maybe they'll get, and the others are depth fillers. Like, so I just want you to acknowledge that, like, maybe it doesn't always work out the way that you hope it will before a portal opens, before you have to let players leave the team, pick who's leaving based on potentially paying them too much NIL money. Like, it's a business, I get it, but at the end of the day, you have to build your roster through recruiting. You have to have NIL deals that make sense for each player, and they have to live up to playing for that amount of money. I mean, Louisville's losing guys left and right. Louisville was supposed to be the team that was going to beat Miami in the ACC. Now it's not looking so great for Louisville. You know, they're losing a lot of their talent, which is great for Miami, whether they go to Miami or not. You know, and this is the craziness of the portal. And I just wish that Mario would just take free agents. You know, FSU's done a much better job of just taking free agents from last year, as you saw what happened with last year's team. And if Miami had the wherewithal to get just free agents in the portal, like this program would already be, a top 10, top 20 team, like for the last year or two, But if you look at the transfer portal list, Gary, he's had just another guy's 60, 70% of the portal. And that hurts your team because those are the guys who are starting and providing a lot of depth.
I'm looking for, I saw a graphic yesterday with top players in the portal, and it was top 10 players in the transfer portal. And I believe Miami is on track to get 2 or 3 of the top 10 in the portal. With Brown, Martinez, and if they can, get in now on Harmon, like I don't know how you argue with that. Like you're not going to get there's other schools out there. I mean, there's other people, Matt, that have NIL money too. There's other people that have good coaches. That some of whom are right or wrong more highly regarded than Mario Cristobal is right now, having come off 5 and 7 win seasons. I mean, other people are trying to get players too. Like you're not getting everybody. You're not getting every top player that's in the portal. If you can walk out of this portal cycle with 3 of what everybody is universally considering the top 10 guys in the portal, I mean,
my point is just take those 3. That's all I'm saying. Just take those 3. I don't need average guys in the portal. Just take more recruits next year and fill those spots. I don't need guys here for two years that are just another guy, man. Like I want to get top recruits, which is Mario's specialty, and develop them. And then guess what? They've got 60% of this team is freshmen and redshirt freshmen. Like if you recruited those guys and they're that good and you won't play them in year 2, and some of them should be playing in year 1, right? Like I have no problem with that. They're not winning a national championship this year. Get those guys some experience. Like why not? I'd rather do that and keep the scholarship spots for this next class than just take 15 guys in the portal every damn year, which is what he keeps doing.
I'm going to meet you in the middle on this one because you're making a legit point in some cases. Okay. All right. Linebacker, Jalen Alderman from Louisville. All right. Your argument is forget about that one. Play Popo Aguirre. Play Chase Smith.
Cam Pruitt, Chase Smith. Then you got Bobby Washington. You got a bunch of guys who are all cross-trained to play 2 positions. They play a 4-2-5. You need 2 linebackers and you got 2 starters back. Legit
argument. And especially when we've seen with our own eyes and heard as a reinforcement how good we see Cam Pruitt.
What happened to your brain? What's happened to your brain? Since when did you agree with me? You disagreed with me 2 days ago.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Why? What happened to you? Did you eat too much matzah? Right. You ate too much matzah. Tell me the truth. You ate too much matzah at Passover.
You're right.
You're constipated and it's got out to your brain. You've got constipation of the brain.
No, I think you're right. Is if we're talking about, for the example of the linebacker that's in the portal that Miami's looking at. But let me throw this out at you. Now let's go to cornerback. Okay, where you got this Diani Hill kid from Marshall. Okay, now there is question whether Mish Powell is better as a slot corner or as a safety. And these are things that Lance Guidry, coming out of spring practice, is having to juggle in his head as he sits there and watches hours of tape from the practice field. Do I play Mish Powell in the slot or do I put Mish Powell at safety?
Tiani told us he's being recruited as an outside corner, so that's a bad example.
No, but I understand. But maybe you put Porter in the slot or whatever. I'm not sure how they're going to line up the cornerbacks right now. It's a fluid situation, but maybe you're picking up this extra corner because you're taking a guy that you were playing in the spring as a corner in Mish Powell, and you're moving him back to safety, and now you don't need a safety in the portal. And
so then what that's telling you is Mario is missing in recruiting because you got you took Demario Brown, Demetrius Freeney, and Robert Stafford are all in their second years in the program. Demetrius Freeney was a JUCO guy. Like if you're going to miss in recruiting and miss in JUCO ranks, which to me is recruiting also. I don't know if you use JUCO as a portal. Then there's nothing you can do. If he's just going to miss in recruiting and just take another guys at those positions, there's no hope for this program. The only chance this program has is that he's recruiting correctly and developing correctly. If he's not doing that, it doesn't matter what just another guy's depth fillers you're taking in the portal. It makes no sense. He's not going to be a coach at that point. So let those guys play, or you made a mistake and you're just a bad coach. It's one or the other. You can't do both.
You know who you're reminding me of right now? We got this
Genius.
poster.
Albert Einstein of football.
We got
Albert
this
Einstein.
poster. We have this poster on the message boards at CaneSport.com. And by the way, if you're not yet a subscriber to our website, I said earlier in the show today, if you're not yet a subscriber to our website, please, 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 your subscriptions allow our entire staff to do what we do every day to try to enhance your fan experience. And please come on over to CaneSport.com and join our community of fans. But we got this one guy. This is not a shout out. Okay. I don't want this classified as a shout out. It's not. I'm using it as an example. His name's Emac. Okay. Hates Mario Cristobal, hates Alex Mirabal. I don't know what they did to him in the past. Clearly something.
He hates me. He hates me too, by the way. He really hates me.
I don't know, but this is an angry guy who does not waste a single opportunity to take a shot at Mario and Mirabal. Okay, so that's fine. That we'll classify that. We don't let him rain on every single parade, but he is entitled to his opinion. But he expects Mario Cristobal and staff to hit on every single kid they recruit, every single coach they hire, every single decision that's made. God forbid they're human beings and making a mistake. And I've tried to explain this to him with Mario. Mario's made a million mistakes since he took over this job 2 years ago, but he also inherited an absolute freaking train wreck that he had to rebuild from the bottom up, replace almost every person in the building, and hire people in about a 30-day window when he got the job. And yeah, he made some mistakes, and he got sold a bill of goods on some coaches, and he's had to turn over a greater majority of those positions. No argument. Recruiting's no different. You're signing 35 guys, say, in a year. You're not hitting on all 35. There's no freaking way, okay? And yeah, so they took Freeney as a cornerback, and maybe he hasn't panned out as well as they thought he would. They're going to make mistakes like that. Now, I was a big proponent, as you know, of the NFL scouting department concept that I was hoping Lonzo Highsmith would set up, because my feeling is if you could, let's say you're hitting right now on 50% of your guys, 55% of your guys, whatever that number is, and we do the analysis every summer, and you'll see it again here in a couple months. We'll give you the last 5 recruiting classes, and we've also recently did a hit or miss analysis too. So we're always breaking that down and analyzing it. But just to throw out numbers for argument, let's say you're hitting on 15 out of 30. If you could raise that to 19 out of 30, that's the difference between competing for championships and not. Let me tell you something. That's an extra 16 great players that are on, or really 20 that are on your football team in a given season. So evaluation, without question, is a big deal. But you're not hitting on every guy, Matt. Like, I get it. You want every single scholarship to count, but you're not hitting on them all. It's not possible. These are human beings on both sides of the table. They're kids that are going to get distracted and maybe not perform up to the ability levels that you thought that they would have. Maybe they don't work hard enough. Maybe they don't do the right things. Maybe they don't go to class. Maybe they don't show up for meetings in time. There's a million things that get kids derailed. These are young kids, okay? They make mistakes. Maybe somebody sold a coach a bill of goods and told them that a kid was better than what he was, and they looked at his highlight tapes or his film and they thought he was right, and they ended up being wrong. My point is, you're going to make mistakes in recruiting. It's not a perfect world, but you want to do the best you can. And like I said, an extra few scholarships can make a big difference on a football team. So it's not reality that everything's going to be perfect all the time. And they do need to fill in some spots here in the portal, and that's what they're trying to do.
Well, why the long pause? I mean, I already said everything I'm going to say about the portal. I don't need to say stuff. Unlike you, I don't repeat things over and over again and try to make it true.
Well, I mean, I feel that that's the case, and we'll leave it at that for right now, and move on to some other things. All right, so I talked about this column that I wrote. We haven't had a chance to talk about it on this show, so I'm going to bring it up again really, really briefly, since we've already have talked about some of the aspects of it on this show. But the thing that I think that Mario Cristobal is doing a great job at, to balance off all the bad things that Emac has identified that he thinks he's not doing a great job at. I think Mario's doing a great job of working the system, man. I mean, the system of today's football, he didn't create it. He didn't create the transfer portal. He didn't create NIL, but that's the parameters that people are working under in today's college football. And he, in my opinion, is mastering it. I mean, he really is. Like, he's not hanging on to guys that are overpaid. He's using his resources wisely. He's understanding that these are not open-ended budgets as big as of a commitment as the University of Miami and the key boosters that are funding NIL right now are making. I think he understands that if this is not a successful football team, it's going to be harder and harder and harder to put that budget together the next year and the year after that. And he's not playing around. He's making tough decisions, and I'm sure people are cursing him out. I'm sure parents of the players that end up on the wrong side of the stick are not happy with him. Listen, you know, these coaches, and obviously Mario's not alone. You know, coaches at every school are dealing with this. But when you have to tell a kid you're not good enough to be here, you got to go after year 1 or year 2 or year 3, when that kid was planning on being here for 4 or 5, and now he's got to go find the new place to be. You're not the most popular guy at the dinner table. I can tell you that. And but you know, Mario is just like, you know, he is laser focused, and he's going through these different stages of the calendar year. And doing the best he can to work within the system to make Miami the best he can be. And I mean, it's like, I got to compliment him on that. And, you know, it's funny, whenever anybody's ever asked him about the 85 scholarship limit that keeps Matt Shodell, you know, up all night on a regular basis, Mario's response has always been, that will take care of itself. Like, we will get there. And you know what? They're going to get there. Like, they're there right now at 85. Now they're going to add some guys and have to cut some others. But with the 2 departures in the last 24 hours, they're right there at 85. So it has worked its way out. You know, they're going to create some more challenges for themselves, but they'll work that out too. And, you know, I just think, Matt, that, you know, and I know, you know, people think I'm, you know, very complimentary of Mario. And listen, I've acknowledged the mistake. He's made a lot of mistakes. He has. But this isn't one of them, man. Like, this is not fun. This is not easy. I think he is slaying the pure concept of working within the parameters that have been set up for today's game and finding a way to win.
Again, look, there's 28 juniors and seniors on the team, and I'd say about 6 of them are only 6 of them are clearly backups. The others will all either be starting or have a role. So, you know, you bring in 6 transfers. I guess you can get rid of those juniors and seniors. I'm not a big fan of getting rid of freshmen and sophomores, as you know. And, you know, you're talking about what we talked about earlier, which is this idea that if someone's not living up to how much money they're getting paid, just get rid of them. You know, that's the harsh reality of it. But if it's making your team worse, I mean, again, this is your whole argument. Bring in transfer portal guys to make the team better and more competitive. Get rid of guys.
Sorry to interrupt you, but they haven't made a single move that's making this team worse.
I would argue that having Jared Harrison not on the roster wouldn't have been a terrible thing. You know, if he played up to the same level he played last year or the year before, he played defensive end and defensive tackle last year, and he was fine. You know, he wasn't great. To me, he's just another guy. But you know what? If you're going to, and again, defensive tackle is different. If they get the 2 Michigan State guys, of course, that's an upgrade. But again, you need 4 tackles, not 2. And you
brought in 2 in the earlier portal.
Right. I was about to say,
Clark and Marley Cook.
Correct. And I was about to say that I don't think that either of those guys stood out to me. So, you know,
they're better.
I'm glad you can say that. So anyway, in general, if the goal is to constantly make the team better and constantly upgrade the talent and constantly have more competition, it just doesn't jive with, again, forget defensive tackle for now, but it doesn't jive with this idea of, yeah, this guy might be a second teamer, but he's making first teamer NIL money, so get rid of him and just bring in some other dude or whatever. Like, that doesn't jive with your whole thing about having better competition. So again, you got to pick one or the other. You can't have both. And I personally think that if you don't have unlimited NIL money, which only a couple programs seem to believe they do, and Miami's not one of them, believe it or not. If you don't have unlimited NIL money, I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to do what Mario's doing. It's not that he's being ruthless or that he's doing what it takes. It's the only thing you can do as a rational human being. If you don't have the money to pay for the 85 guys that you have on your team, and that you're going to have 85 every single year, right? It's just like a budget for anything. If you know what you need every single year, and you know how much money you have right now and how much you probably have pledged for whatever number of future years, you pretty much know how much money you can spend this year. And if you're over that, you don't want to do that. You want to be within the budget you set for the program for yourself. That's the first thing you do as a coach, is you have to understand NIL and what your parameters are and what you can get for it and what positions you need to use them for. That's just called being smart. It's not being ruthless.
Well, it's the collective that has to do that. But the reality is the coach is controlling what players that he has on the team. So,
but you can't have this make-believe facade that everything Mario does is only to make more competition and make the team better. No, he's doing what he has to do within the parameters of NIL at his particular program. And that doesn't constantly mean making the team better. He may have to take portal guys who are just another guy because he can't afford the free agent, or because he can't get rid of certain guys that are on the team that are making more money because they have to start this year, and whatever it is. Like it's a shame that it comes to that, right? Because you want to just have the best possible team all the time, which is what it used to be 5-10 years ago, right? You just take the best players. There was no money involved. Nobody could transfer out. They have to sit out a year. So you just take the best players and you develop them and you play them. But that's no longer the case. And what your column should have been titled is The Travesty of the Miami Hurricanes under Mario Cristobal. Because if Mario could have done what college football allowed him to do 5 years ago, 10 years ago, Miami would be in a much better situation right now than with this transfer portal baloney. If all he was allowed to do and could do when he came in was recruit, develop, I actually do believe this. You probably don't. I think Miami would have a better team today than it does loading up on average guys in the portal with only a few free agents. That's just me. Call me crazy. So I think NIL has screwed Miami, has screwed up Mario, and that's why I want to stop this 15 a year thing. Getting rid of players because they're making too much money in the NIL, even though they're second team or whatever. Like, yeah, you have to do it, but it's not good. Like, people shouldn't celebrate that. And so, I don't really know how to finish
it celebrating
with a correct ending, so I'm just going to end it.
No, but it's not celebrating, but the coaches that manage this the best are going to be the ones that win in the end, in my opinion. I mean, they got to get it done on the field too, but personnel is such a big part of that, and you got to manage it at all levels. And I just happen to think Mario's doing a good job doing it. All right. In the meantime, while Mario's dealing with all this, the coaches are out on the road recruiting, believe it or not. And not just the transfer portal. They're looking at high school kids. It's the evaluation period that comes every spring. And DB coach Chevis Jackson made his way out to Oklahoma earlier this week. And he checked in on a 4-star cornerback out there by the name of Tristan Haynes. And, this is a top 150 kid, a quality player. So we've got an update on the website on him. He's a kid that's being recruited by Miami, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, Alabama, Notre Dame. Those are his top 6 right now. So this is a kid worth knowing a little bit about. We've got a story about him on the website this morning. We've got a story, Miami, tight end U, baby. They're in pretty good shape for 2025. So Cody Woodall, the tight ends coach, he's out on the road looking at 2026 kids. We've got a story on one of them, a kid by the name of J.C. Anderson from Decatur, Illinois. Cody was out on the road looking at him this week, and you can get caught up on where that one stands as well. Let me see. We've also got a story on a 3-star 2025 defensive lineman by the name of Jarquez Carter. He now has an official visit locked in for mid-June. He's the number 34 ranked defensive lineman in this 2025 class. Miami's one of his major contenders. You can get caught up on his recruitment as well, and we will continue to have more coming your way, really at a drop of a hat. I mean, we're grinding right now on all levels here at CaneSport.com, and we hope you guys are enjoying the insight that you're getting in all these different layers of building the program and recruiting right now. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. I'd like to thank Matt Shodell for behaving himself this morning. I thought he was pretty good. If you are on YouTube right now, you like the show, you like this channel, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It does help us with the algorithms at YouTube in growing our audience. And like I said earlier, if you're not yet a subscriber yet to CaneSport.com, please hustle on over to our website and become a member of our great fan community. You can beat up on EMAC a little bit and when he gets out of control, among a few others, and have a lot of fun on a daily basis. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time, everybody.